Before time began, there was the cube. We know not where it comes from, only that it holds the power to create. Bumblebee.
The Michael Bay Transformers movie was a phenomenon. It started a whole trilogy of Transformers films. I have many thoughts on the other Transformers movies,
Texas statute? That a real law?
live action or otherwise, but for this video I wanted to focus on the 2007 movie directed by Michael Bay, as well as the toy line that went along with it. Michael Bay of Bad Boys and Armageddon fame was hired to direct the first Transformers movie, which popped off, making Paramount a lot of money.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for!
And shifting the focus of the Transformers franchise for over a decade. Many people claim that the movies saved Transformers, but that's not really accurate. Transformers in 2007 was not dying or falling off. In fact, when compared to other 80s toy franchises, it was much more relevant and known by children. Every kid at my school knew Optimus Prime, but seldom few knew characters like He-Man or Lion-O. I had to learn about those guys in nerdy magazines. So no, Michael Bay did not save Transformers, but his movies absolutely elevated the franchise to new heights. And you can totally argue that we only got a show like Transformers Prime, which cost like $1 gazillion an episode to make, because of the wild success of the first 3 films.
He knows how I like physical stuff, and he says, so we're gonna do that blue screen, right? I said, no, we're doing that real. Yeah, we're gonna put him out there.
They can build Optimus Prime,
It's all good, bro.
they can blow up the Pentagon, they can't find a way to keep Shia off the ledge.
I'm never gonna give you the Allspark. I feel like a fruitcake saying that, Mike. It's a lie.
These movies are as polarizing as they are successful, and while they seem to make a fortune with every release, public perception on them has soured over time.
I am directly below. The enemy screwed him.
And Transformers has slowly become a brand associated with mindless summer blockbusters.
No, Optimus!
On a more positive note, the toys for these movies were awesome, and I have fond memories of all these toys we're going to be talking about today. What's good, internet? Jake here, dumb as ever, and in today's video we're covering the first live-action Transformers movie and its toy line. As a warning, I'm not going to be covering every single toy in detail. I'll only be highlighting the most interesting figures of every line, but trust me, I'm going to talk about a lot of them. And if I miss a favorite of yours, please feel free to drop a comment about it. Before we get started, if you enjoy the video, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps me fight the true villain of the internet, algorithm. The first Transformers movie was mind-blowing to say the least. I think I was the perfect age for it, about 10 years old, so I just absorbed every little bit of what this movie had to offer.
The boy's pheromone levels suggest he wants to mate with the female.
The action, the designs, if anything, this movie transformed my brain. See what I did there? Like the movie, it's called Transformers. I believe the thing that makes this movie stand out from the rest is the involvement of Steven Spielberg. While Spielberg is credited as executive producer for all the Transformers films since 2007, his impact and influence is really only felt here. The plot of a boy and his car came from Spielberg.
The first thing that I sat down with the writers was an idea to make this a story about a boy in his car, because that's something everybody can relate to.
And there are a lot of moments in the film that just feel so Spielberg coded, and they can cut through the Michael Bay lens just for a second or two. Speaking of Spielberg and Bay, Michael Bay reminds me a lot of Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park. He's kind of this guy who's trying to be a rock star in a field where most people are nerds and artists. Watching the behind the scenes for the movie, he does seem kind of stressful to work with just because he's so high energy. He's got a go-go-go vibe that my slow and thoughtful ass could never match.
My first scene actually was with the dogs. It was like, welcome to Michael Bay's set. Release the hounds.
And instead of stopping the camera, the dogs kept chasing Shia. Fortunately, Shia ran past me about 30 miles an hour, and I was able to grab the long chain that was attached to the dog.
Thank God Shia's a fast runner.
all right? Because that thing wasn't stopping. It was gonna clamp down on that poor kid's ankle, I'm telling you.
There are so many iconic scenes in the movie, but my favorite has to be the highway fight between Bone Crusher and Optimus. I love how the two bots end up falling through this insane looking multi-level highway. Optimus decapitating Bone Crusher is so brutal. I loved it as a kid. And I appreciate the scene even more as an adult, because I now know that the bus Bone Crusher destroys was actually a practical effect, which is absolutely insane because I thought the bus was CGI just like Bone Crusher. You really have to give Bay and his team credit. They didn't just CGI everything. A lot of the explosions and destruction you see are real, and it really enhances the suspension of disbelief. The writing and plot are nothing amazing, and I do wish the movie gave more focus to the Transformers themselves, but for a first attempt at a live-action Transformers film, I think they kinda nailed it.
Definitely been enjoying myself, so I feel like I've been able to be a little creative and imaginative. Sometimes you don't get a chance in a really big film.
Hey! Hey! Get that thing to stop, huh?
Looking at us.
Get that thing to stop!
The toy line for Transformers 2007 is interesting because it's a weird mix of the chunkiness that the previous toy lines had, combined with these complicated looking designs that were so different to every prior Transformer. In later movie lines, the engineering would become very complicated to better accommodate these designs, but for the first movie, we got very toyetic versions of the characters, which I'm perfectly fine with, to be honest. I definitely have the most nostalgia for the first movie toys. I vividly remember seeing the Protoform Optimus Prime and Starscream on shelves for the first time and being shocked. The packaging looked so cool and techno to me. The colors and overall design just indicated to my child brain that this movie was serious business. And the Transformers toys and shows before this were child's play by comparison. The main gimmick of the line was called Automorph, which basically meant some parts of the Transformers would automatically transform, though there was never a massive amount of Automorph on any one figure, which is actually a good thing, because some gimmicks can be way too overbearing and make a toy worse. The protoforms are cool and weird, though Protoform Starscream does have a habit of crumbling into dust thanks to gold plastic syndrome, which is basically the curse of Raw for Transformers toys. I still really want Protoform Optimus. There's just always been something about him that I liked. Maybe his little robot toes. I had the Junker Camaro Bumblebee, and man, I love that toy. Big old clown shoe feet and all. There's a lot wrong with this figure looking back, specifically the yellow and black coloration, which is more of a yellow and gray in the movie. I kind of prefer the black and yellow look though. I think he looks better, and his face is just cuter with those giant blue eyes against black metal. I absolutely love his classic Camaro mode though. I've come to appreciate the look of this car much more as I've gotten older, and I kind of wish he kept this mode in the movie. Though I will say, as a kid, I thought the concept Camaro look was so freaking cool. The car they used in the movie was not even available to purchase, and they only had two, so they had to be extremely careful with them. The concept Camaro was not even officially a Camaro when they agreed to let Michael Bay use it. It was just a random concept car that GM decided would be a Camaro when Paramount chose it for one of the main Transformers in the movie.
I went to GM and I got into their skunk works there. It's a place, I can't tell you where it is, but that's where they make their stealthy concept cars. But I saw this car. They didn't know what kind of car it was going to be, but now it's the Camaro. And what I liked about it, it kind of had a retro look. It was a muscle car, and then just right then and there, I knew it was Bumblebee.
I always wanted the concept Camaro Bumblebee toy, but alas, it was not in the cards. The toy looks so awesome though, and the robot mode still sported that black and yellow look that I like. To go with my Junker B, I did have the Decepticon Barricade, who was hands down one of the coolest villains in the movie, though he basically disappears at the end. This toy was incredible because Barricade came with a little Frenzy figure that could store in his chest. With this feature, he was basically the Soundwave of the toy line, and I had so much fun with him. Not to mention his badass police car mode. I especially love the Decepticon police logo on him. I would buy a hat with that logo. It just looks sick. Speaking of Decepticons, I also had Bone Crusher, and since I enjoyed his scene in the movie so much, he was one of my favorite toys for a long time. The idea of a roller skating brute was so cool to me, and I loved how his arms could extend. And of course, the minesweeping arm was badass in both modes. I really like that they chose such a unique alt mode for Bone Crusher. Bone Crusher is a deluxe class toy, which is one of the smallest size classes. Usually a deluxe will be a about 4 to 5 inches tall, character depending. As a kid, I always wished that Bone Crusher was a Voyager class toy, which was one size up from Deluxe class. Because he's so big and menacing in the movie, it takes on Prime himself, but because of the relatively small cast of robots, some got put into smaller or bigger size classes. For example, Blackout and Brawl were two of the biggest Decepticons, and Brawl ended up as a Deluxe, and Blackout a Voyager, though Blackout did come with a little Scorponok, which is fun. Speaking of Scorponok, he also got a Deluxe class toy. His Scorpion mode looks just like in the movie, but his robot mode leaves a lot to be desired. Like, Hasbro did not even remotely try to give this dude a real robot mode. And if this was his real robot mode, can you imagine his freaky ass walking around? Even the other Decepticons would be weirded out by him. Jazz, Ironhide, and Ratchet all have decent toys. Out of the group, I had Ironhide, and I remember liking him. Turning into a big ass pickup truck will make me a fan of any Transformer. By the way, did you know Ratchet's vehicle mode was completely made up? Yeah, apparently the lime green Hummer / ambulance isn't a real thing. My dumbass thought these are what they use in Ireland or something.
Ratchet was the kind of H2 based ambulance, which doesn't exist, that we kind of designed and built from scratch.
Jazz. The last Transformer I had as a kid was Starscream, who was another one of my favorites. People make fun of him for being Dorito shaped, but it's a pretty interesting look for him, and I really like his head design. He's very bird themed, and I like that for a flying character. Starscream turns into a crazy chunky F-22 Raptor. This boy is shaped like a damn Big Mac. In terms of leader class toys, we had Optimus Prime and Megatron, both of which I actually own current day. These guys are chunky with a nice weight. Megatron is kind of annoying to hold because it's so pointy and angular in design. Hasbro airbrushed some blue over him to give the toy a bit more color. Otherwise, he would just be this gray object. His vehicle mode is fine. It's not really anything, but at least it has obvious wings and a nose cone. And they even gave him wheels, which is a nice surprise. Optimus Prime is a gem. He's pure chunk, and while he is articulated, he kinda just hits the same pose. His truck mode might be my favorite Transformers vehicle mode of all time. He's big, heavy, and even has rubber tires, which is a huge rarity on Transformers nowadays. Bizarrely, Hasbro also made a leader class Brawl, which is cool. I love a big old tank as much as anybody, and Brawl's only other toy is a way too small Deluxe. I always thought it was kind of weird that Brawl got a leader class instead of Blackout, who was canonically the biggest Transformer in the movie. Brawl is cool though. His armored crab motif makes him look like such a brute. Since the main cast of Transformers in the movie is relatively small, Hasbro extended the line with new characters. Some were based on vehicles in the movie, like Longarm, who transforms into the tow truck from the final battle. I always thought this was such a cool idea. The bike Linux uses in the movie was turned into RC, and can I just say this RC design is awesome? It's based on concept art for the movie, because originally RC was going to be a part of the Autobot lineup, but was later replaced with Ironhide. I like this RC look way more than Rise of the Beasts RC, and she's infinitely cooler than what we got in Revenge of the Fallen. Another Transformer based on abandoned concept art was Wreckage, who I always thought looked a bit bland, but I've heard other YouTubers swear by him as a great toy. Hasbro also pulled from the tie-in video game for toys. Since both the Autobots and Decepticons have drone soldiers in the game, they were made into toys for the main Transformers line. Swindle was one I always wanted. Most of the drones have these camera lens faces, but Swindle pulls it off the best and has a sweet belly gun to boot. Dropkick was another drone I wanted because his pickup truck mode is really cool, and he had an actual truck bed, which is really awesome and kind of rare on pickup truck Transformers. I feel like these drone characters would be perfect for Studio Series. And Shockwave from the video game never got a toy, but he's so awesome. He's a triple changer that becomes an attack helicopter and artillery cannon. Come on, Hasbro, I know you're running out of characters. Give me my video game triple changer Shockwave, damn it. Now, if you know Transformers, you know there were some repaints. And the Allspark power line brought on new characters and a lot of repaints. Some of the repaints were the same characters in new outfits, like Recon Barricade, who takes on a more classic police car appearance. I really like that he comes with a blue version of Frenzy. Speaking of repaints, get a repaint for your body. I just opened a dumbjake merch store, and right now you can get a t-shirt, hoodie, or sticker featuring a plushie version of dumbjake. I'm not a big enough YouTuber for a real plushie, so I thought clothes with the little guy was the next best option. If you head over to dumbjake-shop.fourthwall.com, great domain name, You can use code 2007 to get 10% off your order. Other repaints were completely new characters, like Cliffjumper here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but 2007 Cliffjumper might be the first case of the character being a straight Bumblebee repaint. Repainting Bumblebee into Cliffjumper became a common practice for Hasbro until very recently. Another repaint was Blackout into Evac, which weirdly seems inspired by Evac from the Transformers Cybertron toy line. Stockade was a new figure in the Allspark power line. He turned into a Sector 7 SUV, and I love the look of his robot mode, just big ol' gorilla arms. Another new character was Incinerator, who turns into one of those cool planes with helicopter rotors. The colors are kind of wacky, heavily using what fans call Allspark blue, as well as purple. This boy looks like a wild berry Pop-Tart. I have to respect the choice to make his hands the VTOL blades. It's really funny to imagine this guy trying to make a sandwich. Leader Class Brawl got a desert-themed repaint, which is fun, and again, the shocks of Allspark blue stand out on this guy a lot. Nightwatch Optimus Prime is so cool. He's a blue and silver repaint of the Leader Class, and while he doesn't really look like Optimus Prime anymore, I like to headcanon that he's Ultra Magnus or Nemesis Prime. I should mention Ultimate Bumblebee, who is basically a Supreme Class Transformer. I never had him as a kid, and to be honest, I never really wanted him either. The robot mode is fine. He looks mostly accurate save for his chest, which is just the front end of the car. But I have to say the gigantic Camaro he turns into looks fun as hell. There are few greater joys in life than rolling around a big toy car.
I was expecting a giant car.
There were some smaller toys in the line as well. Back in the day, Hasbro used to make small Transformers in the Legends class scale, and these were usually small versions of normal characters. For example, Tiny Optimus here. The Legends class line for the 2007 movie is pretty funny. Because the designs are so complicated and these toys are so limited, you end up with weirdos like Megatron. Bro looks like a toothpick. Another funny one is Starscream, who just looks like he's in pain. Someone get this man his arthritis medication. Bone Crusher made it out better than some of the others. His claw arm even moves, which is awesome. Though his wheels are all the same color as his body, so the vehicle mode is very plain looking. Scorponok even got a toy, and this one also transforms into a weird robot. But is it weird to say that he looks better? Like, he's still a gremlin, but a little bit less off-putting. Bumblebee was the only Legends class I wanted as a kid. I think he pulls it off pretty well, though his vehicle mode has massive hinges on the side. The other smaller Transformers I wanted to mention were the Real Gear robots. These little goofballs turned into everyday objects, like cameras or cell phones. I never had any of these guys, but High Score, the video game controller that turns into a gorilla, always stood out to me. I also love Zoom Out, who is an old style of camcorder that reminds me of the tech I grew up with. Long View is very heroic looking and turns into binoculars. I like this Decepticon watch that is literally named Mean Time. Like, that's so clever and fun. There was also Booster, who turns into this old thing we used to call an MP3 player, and he transforms into a bird that looks a lot like Laserbeak from G1, which is cool. There was also a line of simplified Transformers called Fast Action Battlers. I'm not going to go into this line much, but I did want to mention Frenzy, who didn't get a mainline toy besides being an accessory to Barricade. Fast Action Battlers Frenzy has a decent robot mode, though he has a fair bit of kibble. He transforms into a little radio, which is a fun reference to the movie. Frenzy's design would never facilitate a decent transformation, so this toy is admirable. They got as close as they could have. Overall, while the toys struggled a bit to keep up with the movie's insane change of pace from the rest of the franchise, Hasbro was able to deliver some genuinely great toys that had one foot in the past and one foot into something completely new. I'll always remember this toy line fondly. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. And if you'd like to support me further, I have a YouTube membership and Patreon. For $1 a month, both platforms give you the same thing. Access to my private Discord server where we do monthly movie nights and weekly Toku nights, and weekly exclusive videos called Toy Dives, where I talk about a random toy line. In the most recent episode, I talked about Metabots, which was a toy line and show I loved as a kid. Also, don't forget to check out my merch and use discount code 2007 to get 10% off. Alright y'all, I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.